How's it going, everyone? This is Calvin W. Allison. I feel the Lord stirring on me to talk about authenticity and what it means to be authentic. I'm going to pray real quick. Father, in Jesus' name, Lord, I ask you to move on my heart and to convey this message well. And I just thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to get to serve you and to just get to follow you, Lord. Thank you for being my God, my Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. There's lots of different voices that are out there in the world. Lots of different marketing strategies and just people trying to influence. I mean, there's a wide scope of influence out in the world, and the people who target sales for whatever they have to sell, they're very good about knowing how to gain your attention and how to garner sales, because that's what they're good at. So when you have all these forces at work, all these people, all these different motives that are just all around, and they're trying to get your attention, and they're good at it. You have labels that are out there looking for talent. They're called talent scouts, but they're not just talent scouts. They have different motives involved other than just talent. You know, they want to get people who they think will appeal to a certain audience. So they go by looks, they go by appearance, the way people dress, the way people look. They observe the surrounding trends, and they observe what's selling. They're observing what's in style. They're observing what people are after. And so they start focusing their intention and their efforts on looking for people that match that style that's going to sell. And it's not always about talent. I mean, there's a lot of talented people out there that will never get into the public spotlight, and they're talented. It's just they might not have the right look, or they might not have the right personality, but they've got the talent. So when you refer to someone as a talent scout, there's a lot of people out there that are referred to as talent scouts, but there's a lot more to it than that. When you have people selling books, when you have people putting out movies, you have people putting out products, you have all kinds of these things that are out there. And so you have your attention starts going toward all these different things. You know, what do you want to allow into your life? What's going to give you some kind of satisfaction? What's going to help you get through the day? What's going to help you out? And so you have to be really careful, because some of the people on TV that you may see on TV, you may be so influenced by someone that you see on TV that you're willing to abandon your own originality in order to try to take on that persona. You may try to turn your back on everything about you that's authentic, because you see something that you like that's being displayed on a television through a character of an actor. An actor is displaying a character that you may like. And so you may decide, well, I want to take on that form because not only do you like that act, you like the act that that actor is portraying, but you also think other people might like that too. And so you look at that and say, I want to become like that person. And so you think, well, that's how people will like me. Because you like that person and you think, well, that acting, the person doing that job of the acting, you look at that and you think, that's better than who you are. You think that's a better person than who you are. And so you start putting on this mask and you start trying to become like this person. And you start trying to form the way they communicate like you see on TV. You start trying to conform into this image that's not you. And you just like turn your back on everything about you that's precious, everything about you that's good, everything about you that is God-given. You turn your back on all that just to put on this mask because somebody was after your money. Somebody put out that movie to get your money. It was a tactic, and they created this character that, yeah, they may have been cool, and they may even have been a morally good person, but they weren't you. They weren't you. But you want that person to be you so much that you start coveting that life. And so it just kind of starts settling on you. And sometimes you may not even intentionally do this. Sometimes. But sometimes you might. But you start watching all these things and people, the movie industry is a booming industry. I mean, it's just going, it's very popular. The entertainment industry is very popular. And so many people see these things in the flashing lights and they get taken away by that. And they're like, they get swept into a different reality. And it starts conflicting against their own nature. It brings confliction because it's not authentic. I mean, and there's so many, like I opened up with, there are so many voices out there. I mean, you can also hear things in songs. You can read things in books. And it's okay to be inspired. It's okay to be inspired by an actor's portrayal of a person or someone that's a character or a book or a song. It's okay to be inspired, but you have to learn to allow that inspiration to connect with your authentic self and make sure that you don't start becoming unauthentic because of the influences that are around your life. You want to be authentic. You want to be authentic. When I was in school, I never paid too much attention when I was in school. When I was growing up, I wasn't brought up in church, and I didn't have much of an interest in schoolwork. Later in life, I started getting an interest in a lot of the things that I didn't have an interest in, that I didn't have an interest in previously. But when I was in school, I didn't have much of an interest in my school work or really any of that stuff that the educational system was trying to push on me. I felt something. It just didn't feel right. And all that stuff, it was just like, I don't want all that stuff. And it's not necessary. It's not necessary. It's not things that are going to benefit me. I didn't feel like, and I'm not against the educational system, but I'm not completely for it either. But I'm all for education. Education is good. Education is good, but there's certain types of education that I don't think are good. And there's a lot of strategies that teachers try to use to put information into the minds of the students. And there's a lot of information that I don't feel belongs in the minds of the students. It's just not necessary. But school in itself, education is good. but I feel like, you should be careful. But with me, I had like this, I never allowed too much of it in. I never allowed too much of the stuff that they were pushing on me in. And later in life, I decided what I would allow in. I started getting really interested in some of the history and stuff that I was taught later in life. But I looked at it from a perspective of interest. I had an interest in it. It wasn't something that was pushed on me. It was something that I willingly learned about, that I wanted to learn about, But when they were teaching me how to type, when the teacher was trying to teach me how to type on a typewriter, they never could make me type the way they wanted me to type. It was something that never sit well with me. I never could learn how to type by not looking at the keyboard and with all my fingers. So when the teacher was trying to force me, and I regularly had this, they pressured me so much in trying to type with all my fingers and trying not to look at the keyboard. And I never could. And I never allowed myself to be pushed into doing a method that I knew wasn't the best way for me to do it. And they tried hard to get me to type like that. And I couldn't do it. So now I have to peck when I type. I can use one finger or I can use two fingers when I type. And I'm fast. I'm really fast. I'm a fast typer. I'm a really fast typer, but I have to peck. And I glance down at it. I glance down at the keyboard every once in a while. I glance down at it while I'm typing. I look down and I type. But I'm fast, and I can look at a sentence online, and I can remember that sentence, so I can get a lot typed out while I'm typing, and I'm really quick like that. But it's been like that with so many different things. I've heard that I shoot a basketball differently than everybody else. I shoot the pool. I play pool different than everybody else. When I bowl different than everybody else. When I swing a bat, for baseball, I swing a bat different than everybody else. And I've never been able, and I'm good at these things. I mean, I used to be really great at shooting a basketball. I used to be really good at it. When I was bowling, I think the most strikes I've gotten in a game was like 7 strikes. And I'm not a big bowler, and I'm not a big baseball player, and I'm not a big basketball player. When I was younger, I used to play some, with friends and stuff. And I think the most strikes, the most I ever got in a game, I think was like 7 strikes in one game as a bowling. And I bowl different than everybody else. People are like, I don't know how you bowl like that, but it's just the way that's comfortable for me. And when I shoot a basketball, people are like, I don't know how you keep making those like that. I don't know how you keep making the shots like that. I shoot the basketball a little bit different. And when I hold a pool stick, and I'm good at the game of pool, I'm good at the game of pool. When I hold a pool stick, I hold it differently than everybody else. And I've heard these things just regularly throughout my life. Why do you do things like that? That's not the way that you're supposed to do it. The typing, people tell me, why do you type like that? I heard in school, they tried to just pound that in me, type like this. No, that's not the way I want to do it. And so I've always kind of been a little, I'm just not the easiest person to teach sometimes, when people are trying to teach me stuff, I listen. But when it comes down to it, it's my mind, and I have to allow into my mind what I feel is the best things to allow into my mind. And the way I do things, I have to go about it the best approach that I feel is the best approach. And I watch, I observe, and I see how it works for other people, and I see how other people do things, and, and I observe, and and if it works that way, and if I decide to try it, and there's a lot of things, I guess, that people do that I do like they do. If I see someone do something and it works, and I'm like, hey, I'll do it that way. And if it works, then there I am. I'll do it like that. But if it doesn't work, I'm not going to do it like that. I'm going to go my own way, and I'm going to figure out a way and chances are I'm going to be better at it the way I do it than the way, another person does it. That's status quo, the proper way of doing it or whatever. And I've always kind of been like that. And so, and I hear, I've seen the TV, and I've heard the music, and I notice, and I can feel these pressures, the commercials, that you watch on TV. If you see commercials on TV or you hear advertisements, you hear advertisements, and you don't even have to be around the commercials, or you don't even have to hear the advertisements. You can just go to your job and you can be around the people that heard those advertisements, and you can tell, you can listen to people and tell, okay, sometimes it's really easy to tell, okay, this person has been programmed by the system. It's so easy to tell. And you have to also be careful around people because, 1 Corinthians 15:33, evil communications corrupt good manners. If you're around people that have been influenced by corrupt things and they start talking to you and stuff, if you're not someone that's real careful, you can get influenced by what they're saying. And they watch that stuff, even if you didn't watch it, they watched it and they're coming around you talking about the stuff that they watched, they're influenced by. And if you're not careful, that domino effect can come and hit you into that influence. And it can start, and the influences that get you away from who you naturally are will make you unauthentic. And when you start recognizing this stuff, you start recognizing the pulls, the things that are trying to pull you, the allurement of things, and you start realizing how to not be taken by those things. And people can sometimes get you to do things. Money can prompt you to be somebody that you're not if you don't know how to be careful with it. If you have a lot of money, it can prompt you. If you're someone that's just so eager to get money and you gotta have money, you'll go to some underhanded tactics to get that money. It'll make you unauthentic. It'll get you away from who you really are, and you'll start becoming somebody that you aren't just to get that money. Or if you see a friend, or if you see somebody that you want to be your friend, and you think that they're just the most popular person, and then you may try to become somebody that you're not, just in order to try to become friends with that person or to try to get in their circle. There's so many different ways that unauthenticity can come and grab you. It can grab you, and it can start putting a mask on you. It can start putting mask on you. More than one, plural. It can start putting more than one mask on you. And before too long, if you're not careful, you may have a whole line of all kinds of masks that you can put on, a whole bunch of different kind of masks you can put on. Well, I'll put this one on when I go out to be around this particular person. I'll put this one on when I'm doing my campaign strategy to sell whatever I got to sell. I'll put this one on when, whatever. I'll put this one on when whatever. Which one am I going to wear tonight? And you may not even be thinking about this necessarily. You may not necessarily be thinking about this. Hi, Oliva. I sure learned in school that 2 years to stop being people. Yeah. You can't be influenced to the point where it's going to draw you away from your authentic self. You can't be influenced. And I understand that. I understand that pull too, there's something in you that we all want people to like us. We all want people to like us. I mean, that's just something, everybody wants people to like them. No matter what people say, people want people to like them. Everybody wants people to like them. But you can't let yourself go. You can't let your authentic heart get corrupted. And even if you're trying to transition into a good, so to speak, character, your real self will come out eventually. If you're trying to put on a persona, even if it's a good character that you're trying to transition to be like, if you're not being authentic, your true character is going to come out in time. And the lying that you're doing to yourself to try to convince yourself you're someone that you're not is going to end up hurting you. So you always want to be authentic. And this is where things start to change dramatically, is when you get a relationship with God. That's when things start to change dramatically in this regard. The authenticness should start becoming you should be naturally authentic once you start pursuing God, because you put God first. You love God. Your spirit, once you get born again, your spirit connects with God, And you start drawing, your authentic love for God starts drawing toward God. And you no longer have to worry about these other voices out there. You no longer have to worry about, well, I want to be like this person or that person. Or I have this greedy method I'm wanting to do to sell this product. So I'm going to try to convince people that this product is, better than what it is, or this product will, it'll get you away from those influences. And when you start drawing closer to God, he will bring that he'll get that authenticness in line. He'll get that authenticness in line. Because when you love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and you're real about it, you're real about your walk with God, you're real about your relationship with Jesus, you have an authentic relationship with Jesus, and you love God more than anybody else, including yourself. You love God more than anybody else, including yourself. You love God more than anything. And then the influences around you that are trying to pull you away from your authentic self are much more difficult. Those tactics that are out there that people use to try to garner your attention and try to get into your pocket, get your money out, and all the tactics that people around are using, and you won't be influenced by those. You won't be pulled in when those hooks start coming in, like somebody fishing. And I know that the term fishing is good because we use that as, God says he'll make us fisher of men. But I'm talking about in a different way. People throwing hooks in to try to bait you, to catch you into their traps. You won't be taking the bait. You'll recognize the bait. And when you see those circles, and normally you would think, well, that's the people I want to be around because they're the cool people. And I'll just do what I need to do to get into that group, to get into that circle. You won't think that. You're already in the biggest, you're with the most popular person in the universe. And it's God, God. You're with the most popular being ever. There's nobody more popular than God. There's nobody more popular than God. So you're not going to be thinking, I want to be in that clique. I want to be in that circle. Those people over there, they're really popular. So, I'm kind of, I might have to try to act a certain way to get their approval. But you don't think like that. You just don't think like that. When you love God genuinely and you're having a heart for God, you have a heart for God, you don't think like that. You look over at people and you just see everybody the same. When you truly love God, God says he's no respecter of persons. And when you start getting closer to God, you'll start having that mindset too. You'll start having that mindset too. When I'm on the job and I'm working, I do my best. I do my absolute best to treat everybody exactly the same. I do that. And I know that there are some people that you just draw to more. There's some people that you just draw to more. They're easy to get along with. They're around you. You enjoy being around them. And it's just easier to be around some people than others. But when you look at people and when you have a relationship with God, he'll give you a love for everybody. And you'll start understanding what he means, or what the Bible means when it says God's no respecter of persons. Because you'll start seeing everybody and you're like, I love everybody. I love everybody. You bring snacks to work or something. you bring something to work and you don't just want to give it to one person, you want to give it to everybody. If you bring something to work, or if there's something going on, like if you hear somebody, sometimes you might hear like they're giving away candy out front or something, or they're giving away snacks or something out front. You don't just want to go to one person and say, hey, did you hear about they're giving snacks away out front? You want to go to everybody. Hey, everybody, did y'all hear? Did you hear they're giving snacks away out front? Go to the back somewhere. If you find somebody in the back that's working in the back or something, say, hey, so-and-so, they're giving away snacks out front. You want to include everybody. You're no respecter of persons. You love everybody. And when you start following God and you love God, He'll start showing you what it means to be no respecter of persons. And people on the job, if supervisors could get a hold of it, that's what makes a really good supervisor. And sometimes I've never wanted to be a supervisor. I don't want to be a supervisor. When I'm on the job, when I'm working, I have no desire to be a supervisor, because I know what it's like to be a supervisor. I mean, I've done things before. It's where I've been on jobs where I've known the job so well that they've asked me to show new people how to do things, but I've never had the official role as a supervisor, and I don't want it. When you're a supervisor, you need to have that mentality that you're going to treat everybody the same. Now, I've got that mentality, but I don't want to be a supervisor. But I've got the mentality for that, because I know what it means to treat everybody the same. I know what it means to treat everybody fairly. And I also know how people are, and I know how the process of things work. Sometimes people, when they're complaining about somebody else, and I've seen this firsthand because it's happened to me before, but sometimes when people are complaining about somebody else and they're trying to make them look like a bad worker, it may just be because they're one of the best workers, and that best worker is making them look kind of bad because they're not doing as much work or something, And so you have to kind of have an understanding of how the human how the human mind works and stuff, and how people can be, and you have to look at everything from a fair. There's two sides to every story. There's two sides. If you're going to listen to this person come in and talk about, well, this person's not doing much work or something, you need to bring that person in and say, and don't just take the one person's word for it. For one, you need to be out there observing yourself and seeing what the workers are doing. But if a worker comes in and tells you that so-and-so is not doing their job or something, you need to bring that worker in and you talk to them too. You always need to listen to two sides of the story. There's going to be two sides to the story. You need to hear from both people. No respecter of persons. You want to hear from both people when you get if you get a complaint or something. So that's things supervisors need to do, and they don't just need when one person comes in. If there's somebody that a lot of times supervisors will favor one person, and if they come in with a complaint, they'll just go and get on to somebody just because of that one complaint or whatever. But you don't want to do that. You want to be no respecter of persons. You hear a complaint and you want to bring the person in that the complaint was made on and then talk to them. And so, that kind of went off to a different area a little bit, but it's basically, the same kind of thing though still. But no respecter of persons. You love all people. And to get back on the influence thing, when you love God, the influences that try to pull you away from your authentic nature, your authentic character, they won't be able to do that. When you have a genuine love for God and you're moving towards God of everything that you are, your whole heart, you got your whole heart in this, then nobody's going to be able to come around and get you off of the straight and narrow way, get you out of your authentic character, and they're not going to be able to change you. I mean, there was I forget which disciple it was, but this is a good. I really love this little place. This I love the whole Bible. This is one of those places I really love. I love the whole Bible, but this is just something that's coming to my attention right now. But Jesus said to a disciple, they said, or one of the disciples went to when Jesus, in the New Testament, Jesus is first starting his ministry. And one of the disciples goes and they find this one disciple and they say, we have found the Messiah. He is Jesus of Nazareth. And this disciple says, can anything good come from Nazareth? And so then they go to Jesus, and Jesus says, behold, there is nothing false in this man. And this guy's like, who are you? And he's like, I saw you praying underneath the fig tree earlier. I saw you praying underneath the fig tree. And then that disciple was like, you're my Lord and my God. And he was like, you're going to see greater things than these. But I always liked that, how he said, there's nothing false in this person. And this was the person that said, can anything good come from Nazareth? And Jesus wasn't saying this person is perfect. He was just saying this person is real. This person is real. And I cannot remember the disciple's name. I can't remember the name of him. But it was the disciple where one of the disciples went to his house and they said, we found the Messiah. He is Jesus of Nazareth. And the disciple said, can anything good come from Nazareth? And that was the one Jesus said, nothing false is in him. Nothing false is in him. And so, there's God can really work with somebody when you're authentic and you don't have mask on and you're not pretending to be somebody that you're not. God can really work with somebody like that. You're authentic. You've got no false motives. Your heart, God says, there's nothing false in this person. He looks at your heart. Remember when Samuel went to find David and God told Samuel, don't look on the outward appearance, for God sees the heart. Thank you, Gloria. Thanks for tuning in. God sees the heart. God told Samuel, anoint that man king, anoint that boy king, anoint that young man king. One day he'll be king of Israel. Because God knew that he was real, he was authentic, and he knew that he would serve him. And if he made a mistake, he would own up to it. He would do his absolute best because he'd be a man after God's own heart. Not somebody that would be influenced and turned away, but somebody that would stay true. He'd stay true to the call. And God knew that about David. And God knows that about his people. He looks for that authenticness that he knows, this person will stay true to the call. When he told Samuel to anoint Saul, he even told Saul that this person's going to be rebellious. He said, but you're saying you want a king. The children of Israel are saying they want a king like other tribes and other nations. They said, give us a king like other nations. And so God said, okay, if you have to have somebody there is a physical king, and you can't just be completely dependent on me, then I'll give you a king that you can actually see. And he said, go find Saul, anoint him king. But he said he's going to be rebellious. And then what happens? Saul was rebellious. And so God took the kingdom away from Saul and gave it to David. And it's tough sometimes when you have so many different ways people are coming at you, so many different ways things are happening. Fear can breed unauthenticity too. Fear can do that too. So you have to be careful not to get into fear, because that can get you out of your authentic self. There's lots of things that can get you out of your authentic walk with God, your authenticness. You want to make sure that you stay faithful to the call and that you allow God to bring out your authenticness. Start seeking him. He'll show you things. He'll lead you all the way. And if you have gifts that you can use in his service, he'll bring those gifts out of you and he'll make them flourish. He'll make those gifts flourish. You just want to stay authentic. And don't be influenced by all these things. Don't be influenced by all these things that are out there that try to get you into an unauthentic way of life. Stay true to the call, and God will bless you tremendously. Just want to stay true to the call, stay faithful, and always keep God first. Always keep God first. And when you look at him, say, he's enough. God is enough. God is enough. And you don't need to change. You don't need to try to, impress nobody. Don't try to impress nobody. It don't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter what anybody else around here thinks. God is the only one that you want to please. God is the only one that you want to please. No, nothing else matters. It doesn't matter what this person thinks. It doesn't matter what that person thinks. It does not matter. Even when you make a mistake, people are out there just waiting for you to mess up. People are out there just waiting for you to fall. When mistakes happen, don't worry about what everybody else thinks. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks. God is the only judge. He's the only judge. If someone comes around and wants to give you an encouraging word, or if someone even wants to rebuke you for a sin, if they find out, if you make a mistake and they find out, just say, okay, I messed up, I acknowledge that I messed up. But you're not getting right for a person around you. If a person rebukes you, then God may have told them to do that, and you just say, okay. And you get up. The Bible says a righteous man falls 7 times and gets up again. A righteous man will fall, but he'll get right back up. You put your focus back on God. If you make a mistake, you put your focus back on God. Don't worry about anybody else around you. When you make a mistake, if you make a mistake, which you probably will, if you make a mistake, get back up and get your focus on God. Don't worry about everybody else, oh, I thought you were stronger than that, or oh, I looked up to you, or, whatever. You'll probably hear a bunch of voices start coming around, Don't worry about any of it. None of it. Just put your focus back on God. He'll restore you right back. And then other people around you, the very ones that are going to be trying to kicking you while you're down, they're going to make mistakes at times too, and they're going to have their moment where they're going to be on the ground. And they got to get back up too. But just remember, it kind of works like that. If you make a mistake and you're having your day and you're just like, oh, I made a mistake or whatever, and then you get up, you get your focus back on God, and there's going to be a lot of people around you trying to make you feel bad or whatever, A lot of people, that's just how a lot of people do. If they see you mess up, they're going to be there to let you know about it. They want to tell you about it, And that's from a lot of, people shouldn't be doing that, but a lot of people do that. But you make a mistake, you just get right back, get up. You make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you get up, get your focus back on God, and you're restored. And now you watch people have their turns, trials and tests come to all of us, and we're all going to make mistakes at times. You don't have the same kind of attitude that the people that had the negative attitude and was trying to kick you while you're down or whatever, don't have that attitude of them. Never have that attitude of them. You get your focus back on God, and then if they make a mistake when trials and tests comes, then you be there to encourage them and to lift them up. You be there to encourage them, lift them up. You just keep your focus on God, but don't focus when you hear negativity and things like that, people trying to drag you down and people trying to beat you down and trying to just put you down. You don't listen to any of that. Don't be influenced by that at all. None. You just keep your eyes focused on God and you realize God's going to get me through this just like he did every other time. And nothing's changed. My standing with God is still A-okay. My standing with God is still great. God still loves me. God's still with me. And he's right there. He's always going to be there. The people around you, it doesn't matter. Hopefully you have some good people around you that's going to encourage you and uplift you. But I'm just saying, the people around it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks of your life. You just make sure that you're authentic and that you love God. Just make sure that you're loving God, you're putting Him first. And He's the only one that you want to please. He's the only one that you want to make happy. If you make Him happy and you're focusing all your attention on Him, the best thing you can do for anybody else, the best thing you can do for anybody else is loving God. When you love God, you're going to be the best person to another person. When you're loving God and you're authentic, that's when you're going to be the best example to somebody else. You're putting God first. You got your focus on Him. And the people around you are going to be impacted by that. Because you're loving God. He's showing you, He just filled you with love. And so you love everybody else. You love everybody else. Your relationship with God is sincere. It's authentic. You love God. And people around you are just going to be better for that. When you're a genuine example, you're not even trying to be an example. You're just loving God and you're sincere and you're a genuine example to other people around you. It's genuine. It's authentic. Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. Hopefully you have a whole bunch of people around you that are putting God first, and that's when you got an awesome group of people. Matthew 18, 19 and 20. Verily, verily, I say unto you, wherever 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst. If 2 of you on earth should agree about anything, asking in prayer, you shall receive it. For where 2 or 3 are gathered, there I am in the midst. For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst. Matthew 18, 19 and 20. All right. I guess that's all I need to say for now, or all I feel led to say for now. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get off this video. Then I'm gonna stop the video and upload it to my page so it can be viewed from other people later. And if you want to watch it again, it'll be there. Thanks everybody for tuning in.